Hello everybody! Let's see if I'm on okay. Just checking on my iPad down here. Perfect. Alright. Looks like it is looking good. Let me know if you guys can see and hear me okay. I'm going to adjust this down just a little bit. Alright. Can you guys see it alright over there?
I hear you good.
Okay, good. Hello everybody! Alright, let me know if you can see and hear me alright, and we will get started in just a couple minutes with our live demo. Alright, looks like some people are jumping on. Hello, welcome in. Alright, how's everybody doing today? It's all working okay. Alright, today we're going to be making some lollipops for our live demo. I'm so excited about these because we're also going to be encasing some edible designs inside the spheres to give it this really cool and unique 3D look. So I'm super excited to show you guys that. Alright. Hey Danny, how are you? Welcome in. Alright, just checking to make sure everything looks good. Alright, perfect. Hey Stacy, how are you? Hi Sheila. Welcome guys. Let me know if you're going to be watching today, if you're going to be following along with me, if you're going to be creating some lollipops with me, or if you are going to be watching and creating later. I always love to see what you guys have planned. Hey Rita. Alright, I'll show you guys the pieces that I have. I have a whole bunch of different demo pieces to show you today, but here is a couple of our lollipops that we're going to be making. So you can see we have our mosquito encased in amber, very spooky, very Jurassic Park, which is super duper fun for the Halloween season upcoming. So we're going to have that. I'll show you how I did the handle on the staff as well. And then we also have some snow globes that we're going to be making. So there's a little snow globe lollipop. I'll show you how we're going to encase the designs inside of the Isomalt as well as doing the different tones. Like the snow globe has the different color on the back. Then we have some other ones here. Just going to grab a whole bunch to show you guys. So we'll do some flat lollipops as well, but we got the two tones going there. This one I added a little bit of glitter to, a really pretty cardinal sort of garden scene. Let's see what else we got here. Going back to our Halloween theme, we have some creepy crawly lollipops, so I'll show you some flat lollipops as well with these creepy crawly designs on there. Again, perfect for the spooky season coming up. And I will also show you, not lollipop related, but we also have our snow globes, our Isomalt snow globes here. We got our cute little gnomes. So I'll show you how, basically how to take this technique and how to change it up into different ways of using it to encase this design. So of course I had to do the big snow globes as well, but I will also show you for a little bit more applicable designs to lollipops and things, how we made those. Alright. Perfect. And right where you're watching from in the comments too. It's always fun to get to know each other as we are watching this live. And don't forget to share, please. Share it to all of your sugar friends. If you are in any groups that you want to share it to, any sweets groups, that would be awesome. I would very much appreciate it. And we're going to go ahead and get started. Alright. So, yeah, we'll go ahead and get started. I'm going to show you both the amber and the amber bug and the snow globes today. So I'll talk all about how to change them up and how to customize them to your designs. Hey Barbie, how are you? Alright, so I'm going to turn the camera down, so just give me a second to adjust everything, and then we will get started. Hey Becky, welcome. Alright, so I'm just going to move this down and make sure you guys can see okay. Alright. Let's see how that is looking here. Might need to adjust a little bit. Alright, can you guys see that alright? Does it need to be moved or adjusted at all? Let me know. I think that's going to be good. I'm just waiting for the lag on the camera to catch up. Okay, cool. So let me show you those pieces again. So we have our lollipop here. We got our amber bug lollipop. We got our snow globe lollipop. Okay, we'll put those over here. Move my little cheat sheet out of the way. I always like to plan the lives to make sure that they're all in a nice order, so I just want to remember that as we go. Alright, so I got my lollipops, put these guys over here. And of course our bug lollipops here as well. I know they're upside down for you guys, sorry. There we go. Okay, so I'll put those over there as well and flip these. That way we have them if we need them. Alright, perfect. Okay, so we are going to start off by melting our ice malt. So I have preheated the ice malt just a little bit in the microwave, but I'm probably going to have to pop it in for a few more seconds, so let me do that really quick. Just check over here. So of course we are starting with the Simi ice malt that we will be using for all of our projects. So Simi ice malt is ready to use. It's super duper easy. It is hot. Remember, you do want to wear gloves whenever working with ice malt, usually a cotton glove and then a nitrile latex glove layered on top of that. And that double glove will buffer the heat and protect your hands while you're working with the liquid ice malt, since it is around 300 degrees Fahrenheit or 150 degrees Celsius. So do be very, very careful. But ice malt is a really, really great resource for creating edible designs. It has that beautiful, unique, glassy finish that we love. And it's also completely edible and completely sugar-free. So these are lollipops that anybody can have, even if they can't have sugar, which is really nice. You can also color it, you can flavor it. We're going to be talking all about that today as we go. For flavoring, I would recommend an oil-based flavoring, so like the Lorraine candy oils. Those work really, really good, and just put a couple of drops of those into the ice malt when it's melted, mix it up, and then you'll be ready to use it. So if you want to flavor the ice malt comes unflavored, so it's a little bit sweet, but because it's sugar-free, it doesn't really have a ton of flavor. So if you want to add a little bit of flavoring to them, by all means, if you're going to be using these as a edible element in something that you have coming up. Or if you're like me and you're just using them for display, you can leave them as is. So it's really important when you melt your ice malt to melt it down to a boil. So mine was sitting for a couple of minutes before I took it out of the microwave, so it stopped boiling. But it is important to get it to a nice rolling boil in the microwave when you first take it out. That will bring all of the bubbles out. So if you have any air that was mixed in from stirring, from mixing in color or flavor, or if you have just bubbles from it melting down, it'll naturally get some air pockets. It's important to bring it to a boil first. So we always bring it to a boil, and then we will let it settle till it stops boiling. So you see it's nice and liquid, but it's not actively boiling and bubbling, so that means you're going to get nice glassy isomalt. Now, depending on which version of these you would like to make, or if you got the different versions of the accessory kit that we have for this project, you will have some different colors. So I'm going to be starting with the amber for the bug lollipop, since it is Halloween season, or at least it's coming up. So I'm going to start with the amber, but I'm also going to show you how to use the lollipop kit as well, because the amber bug came with the amber ice malt, and the snow globe kit came with a bag of clear and a bag of clear glitter. So depending on how you want to change up those colors, we'll talk about that too. Or if you're just using what you have at home, the Simi ice malt that you already have, of course you're welcome to use any colors that you want, because these would be so cool in different colors too, with the bugs encased. You could do them like blues and purples and greens, and make them super duper spooky that way as well. So whatever you would like to use. But we just melted that in the microwave for 30 seconds and then 15-second intervals until it came to a boil. Alright, so we'll put that off to the side. We're letting that settle a little bit, and now we're going to grab our mold and our cello sheet design. So let's grab that out. And remember guys, if you have any questions throughout the whole demo, please feel free to write it in the comments. I have my iPad set up so that I can see the comments, and I also have Mom is here and Dad's here as well in the background, watching out for comments to shout them out.
How are you? How's everybody?
Alright, right, just check on those really quick. Hey Lori, hi Carla from North Carolina, hey Tina, hi Peggy. All right, hey Anne, welcome, welcome guys. All right. So again, you may have gotten different versions of the kit, or you're using what you have, so you will have different designs. Of course, you can choose whatever design you would like. You can even, you don't have to use cello sheets for this. You can also use a icing sheet if you want to. Transfer sheets don't work quite as well for this because we're encasing them, so it's harder to take the backing off, but not impossible. We'll talk about that as we go, but cello sheets are really cool for this because it actually gives you a clear background. So there's actually a whole circle of sheet encased inside, so it's not just the mosquito. I'm not going to cut out the mosquito because that would take forever and just drive you crazy. So you are going to you know, have that whole sphere or that whole circle, the diameter of the circle inside the Isomalt, and you don't see any background. So that's a really cool element. Remember, if you use an icing sheet, you're going to have a solid background. So you'll have like a circle, like a disc inside, which is not bad either. It's just a different look. But for this, we are going to use our cello sheet. So I have my mosquito cello sheet here. This is one of our designs. We also have the creepy crawly one that has the mosquitoes and the spiders and scorpions. So you may have gotten a different version of that. But what we're going to do is we're going to cut out our cello sheet. Now, cello sheets, if you have not used these before, they are very, very cool. They are on a plastic backing when you get them. You can get them pre-printed in my personal designs that I have on my website, like this one, or you can also get blank sheets from Icing Images and print whatever you want on them. They are a little bit, they just have kind of their quirks, just like any edible medium. They are sensitive to climate, so you always want to make sure you keep them in a sealed container when you're not using them so that they don't curl up from dryness or from too much humidity. As you can see, it's very, very humid here in Florida, but as long as I keep this in an airtight container, which is just a Ziploc bag, when I'm not using it, it is totally fine, and we will go ahead and start to use it.
So Kelly said she'll give you $20 for gas. And I don't think that was for you. And she said, no, wrong text.
Oh, that's so funny.
I loved it.
That's will take it.
That's great, Kelly. I know that's what's happened when you're trying to write too many people.
I know. I always have tons of things on my clipboard and my copy and paste on my phone, and I do that too.
And yes, I had a great birthday. Thanks,
yeah,
Evelyn.
Happy birthday to Mom
and
Alex too. The last few days we had lots of birthdays.
Yeah, big birthday weekend.
Alright, so what I'm going to do to take this off the plastic backing is first I'm going to choose the design that I want for the mosquito, and I'm going to cut it out. I am going to use the smallest one for the smallest sphere mold that we're going to be using. You can use any size, but keep in mind that this is a dome, so it is going to kind of magnify the size. So it's going to look a lot bigger than it actually is on the sheet once it's in the dome. It's not the same thing for the flat lollipops because it's not a dome. It's only for the magnifying effect of it. Alright, so we're going to cut out the design that we want. Just make sure that you kind of cut it halfway between the other designs so you have enough space around it. I tried to space all of mine, you know, nicely for the sizes that they were meant to be so that you have some clear around it. But if you accidentally made it too small or anything, it's really not a big deal because it's clear, so you're not going to see where the seam is really. Now, with cello sheets, again, because they have a couple little quirks, you want to make sure that you are taking it off the backing first before you use it with Isomalt, so we're going to do that. It can be a little bit hard to tell which side is the front and which side is the back, depending on, you know, because it's clear, you can't really tell. So what you want to do is just take a little bit of water on a brush or on your finger and tap it on the corner if you're not sure. Of course, the side that is the edible side will get sticky and it'll get kind of tacky, and then the side that's the plastic is not going to have any effect. It'll just kind of wipe away the water. I know that this side is the top on this one, so I'm not going to have to do that. And now we want to take away the backing, so what I'm going to do is on the corner of the cello sheet, I'm just going to put a little cut, and then that will give me a spot to peel it away, kind of like a sticker sheet. It's easier to peel from that cut spot. You could also just cut out a design on the whole cello sheet and then peel that away, but I just like using a square of it rather than cutting out a shape of it most of the time. So don't do this on your silicone mat like I am because you don't want to risk cutting it. But you just want to score. You're not cutting all the way through. You're just scoring the plastics of this, or the cello sheet side, and then you're just going to peel away the backing. So again, it's easier to cut it from that little corner. I don't know if you can see that seam. Okay, and I'm just peeling the plastic away to leave the edible design. And the cello sheet by itself, once it's off the paper, is almost like a vinyl decal that you put on the window. It's a really cool texture. It's like a gelatin sort of feel, but it's firmer, which is nice. It feels like plastic. All right, and now you want to grab either your paper punch or you can cut this with scissors. It's up to you. We are using the small sphere for this, or at least I am. You guys might be doing something different, but this is a 1 1/4 inch sphere. Okay, so it's 1 1/4 inch sphere. So I'm going to be using a 1 1/2 inch punch only because I don't have a 1 1/4 inch punch, but I also wanted to show you guys how to use something different if you need to. So I'm just going to use a 1 1/2 and trim it down a little bit, but you can also just cut this out by hand. I would just use like a cookie cutter and just kind of use an edible marker on the outside of the cookie cutter, set the cutter down, and just kind of trace a line to cut, unless you're really good at sizing in inches, but I'm not, so you can also just freehand this. But what we're going to do is just center that and punch it out, just like that. So this is the paper only, not the backing, remember. Oh, my little paper got caught in there, hang on. Never had this happen before, but of course it's a live, so it's gonna happen on the live. There we go. All right, so you see how I just cut out that circle shape. And now because that's a little bit too big, I'm just gonna trim around the edges a little bit to take off some of that sheet, but you can use it as is if it was the right size. I do have a 1 inch cutter, but it was just a little bit too small around the design, so that's why I chose to use the big one. But we use what we have, right? And so I'm just cutting maybe like 1/8 of an inch off around, or like 1/4 of an inch off all the way around it. You want it just slightly smaller than the size of the sphere. Okay. So I'm just going to hold that up to the sphere. That looks like it'll be good. And I will get rid of the excess paper that I just cut. I know it's clear, so it's a little bit harder to see, so hopefully my explaining will make sense. Let me know if you have any questions. All right. Now again, this is for the sphere. We're going to also be making flat lollipops, but the sphere takes longest to cool, so we're going to start with those. All right, just checking on the comments. Good, Tina's going to be making those later. Awesome. Fantastic. All right. Tina said she had that punch in her cart, and now she can hit send. Perfect. I have a whole bunch of different punches of different sizes because they're just really nice to have around. All right, so we are going to be encasing this sheet into our sphere, okay? Now, this Isomalt has gotten a little bit cool while I was talking, so I'm going to pop it back in the microwave. Remember, we never ever stir the Isomalt unless you have to mix in color or flavor. If you have to mix in color or flavor, then you will want to reboil it after that because you're going to mix in air. So it's not like chocolate that needs the agitation when it's melting. It'll melt evenly. You just have to let it do its thing by itself. So just bring it to a boil and then let the bubbles settle. If you still notice some bubbles mixed in, not ones that are actively moving and popping, but after that's finished and there's still bubbles in the kind of suspended in the Isomalt, you can bring it to a boil again to get it really crystal clear. Bubbles that are attached to the bowl are not a big deal because they're going to stick to the bowl, but any that are actively moving or suspended in the Isomalt, that's what you want to let settle or to boil again to get it out. Okay, you don't want to burn the Isomalt. That's why it's always important to let it settle and cool down before you bring the temperature back up, because if you just keep bringing it up, it will burn eventually. Now with this amber color, you probably won't even notice other than the taste might start to taste a little caramelized, but if it was for display, you could still use it. All right. So you see those bubbles are just slowly dissipating as I am waiting for it to cool, but I'm not stirring it. I'm not poking at it as much as I might want to. I'm going to give that a second to cool off to the side, and we'll use it when the bubbles stop. All right. So the technique of this to encase is actually really, really cool. It's similar to what we're going to do with the eyes. So if you've seen my videos or if you've made the Isomalt eyes that we have, the Sugar Geek eyes, it's kind of the same idea, but we're actually doing it 3D this time. So generally, if you're going to make a sphere with our small sphere mold, you're going to put the two halves of the mold together, you're going to rubber band it, and then fill it through the hole at the top. Okay, but how do you get the sheet in there, right? So what you want to do is you actually want to put the sheet in before you put the mold together. Okay, so I'm going to show you how to do that. You might notice a little bit of thunder that of course just started, if you could hear that in the background. Oh, anytime that I do live, it's got a thunder, right? So if anything happens and I lose my internet connection from the storm that's coming in, I will come back on, just keep refreshing my page. But it usually rains here every day in the summer, so hopefully that will stop soon. All right, so you can see now the Isomalt is melted, but all the bubbles have risen to the top and popped, and I'm left with nice glassy Isomalt. Okay, so we're going to start with half of the mold. Okay, so just half of the mold. We're going to have our cello sheet already cut and standing by. Remember, if you're cutting a whole bunch of these to just assembly line it, put the excess ones in a sealed container. Put them in a Ziploc or something like that and get all the air out so that they are not going to curl or anything from being out in the either humidity like here or the dryness if you're in a drier place. Okay, but this is just one and I'm about to use it, so it's all good. Even if it does curl, it actually resaturates when it touches the Isomalt, so it's not a big deal. If it curls a little bit, it'll go back to flat once you use it. Okay, so what we're going to do is I am just going to fill the mold up. Now, be very, very mindful that when this half of the mold is going to be on its side, you have the hole where you're supposed to fill it later, right? You do not want to fill this up so high that it spills out of the hole. One, because you want to be able to fill it up later more, but also because you don't want it to spill and get on anything or get on you. So just be very, very careful about that. This is high enough that we don't have to worry about closing it off as long as we don't pour too much. Some molds you do have to. You know, use another mold. You can take that other mold if you want to and put it next to it so that it kind of cuts off the spout, but you don't want to close over the spout. So that's the whole reason why we really don't want to fill it up that much. Okay. So I'm just going to fill up to the start of that fill hole at the top with the Isomalt. Okay, remember being very careful. I recommend wearing gloves when doing this. So I've just filled it up until it was about to spill over. Okay, so I don't fill it up any more than that. We're going to pop any bubbles that may have gotten tumbled in or may have risen to the surface after a second. I don't see any right now, but it's good just to practice that in case one were to sneak up on you. So I just lightly torch the surface. Okay, the hole is going to be the base of your lollipop. So you want to make sure that the mosquito is going to be facing the right way. So the legs of the mosquito are facing the hole at the top of the mold. Now what we're going to do is we're just going to very carefully lay this in. Think about using or putting on like a screen protector or putting a vinyl decal on a window. You don't want any bubbles to get trapped under it. So try and put it down at an angle and just let the sheet sort of squeegee the air out on its own. So when I lay this down, I kind of do it at an angle and then I let the rest of the sheet lay itself down as I let it go. So I'm starting by just touching the side of the sheet. Remember, I trimmed this a little bit more than the 1.5 cutter that I had. And then now I'm just letting it fall into place so that it goes nice and slow and kind of eliminates any air pockets. If the sheet moves on you or you didn't get it quite straight, just use a little tool, anything that's kind of blunt. It doesn't have to be silicone, but silicone does hold up to the heat the best. But you can just use really anything that's not sharp so you don't puncture it to just guide it into place or rotate it as needed. Okay, don't hold this up like I'm about to, but I want to make sure you guys can see what we did. Okay, so I've just filled it up just to the bottom of that hole at the top. Okay, I'll kind of just lightly tilt it. Maybe you can see it a little bit. So it's not spilling out, right? We didn't fill it up that high. Also remember when you push down with the tool to make sure that the sheet is in place, it could squish upwards. So don't let it squish out that fill hole either. Okay. So that's how we get the first half. Now, instead of filling both of these halves and then gluing them together, which you will have a seam and you will have the chance to get air pockets trapped between them, we're actually going to let this cool all the way. Then, because nothing is obstructing the fill hole, once it's cool, we can just stand it up, put the mold together, and fill it as normal. Okay? And that's how we get that encased look so that the mosquito is completely encased in the middle and there's no seam around it. And because it's a cello sheet, you won't see any of the clear around the mosquito, giving it that illusion of being totally clear. Pretty cool, right? All right, so we're gonna put that off to the side. You wanna let that cool all the way down, so a good like 10 to 15 minutes for it to cool completely so that when you stand it up, it doesn't pool downwards or slosh to the bottom, and you don't want the sheet to move at all either. So make sure that's all the way cool. So I have one that's already cool off to the side that I will fill. So put that guy over there. All right, now the other one that I poured is not a mosquito. It is a snow globe, because remember I wanted to show you guys how to do that as well. So I'm just going to walk you through. I did the exact same thing, except I used a different pattern and a different color. That's it. But what I did is I took some of the clear glitter Isomalt, and what I personally wanted to do with my little gnome display here is I wanted to have two tones. So kind of like... let's see, let's do the glittery one here. So you see how we have on this snow globe, we have the glitter on the front and then we have the white on the back. That's what I wanted to do. Okay, so for me personally, with our clear glitter, it is extremely glittery, okay? It's very intensely glittery, and if I poured the clear glitter right in and then I put a design behind it, you wouldn't really see the design as well. You'd still see it. It would just look like there's a really big blizzard going on inside. So what I actually did is I cut the clear glitter with some of the clear. So I mixed probably like a 3-to-1 ratio, 1 part of clear glitter with 2 parts of just regular clear Isomalt, so that it diluted the glitter a little bit and it's just a lighter glitter before I filled up and then put the little gnome design inside.
Okay, so Chantal actually asked a really good question.
Yeah.
Because it will address the different types of paper. She's just joining. What kind of paper are you using? Because she was told to use rice paper.
Okay, yeah, that is a good question. So I find personally rice paper and wafer papers, they're really not strong enough to hold up to the heat of Isomalt. At least through the ways that I use them, they're not going to hold up right. So what I'm using today is a cello sheet. So cello sheets, I'll grab the gnome one this time. Cello sheets are a totally clear edible paper. They're made from icing images, and then these are my personal designs that I have on my website, but you can also get blanks and print them yourself. So cello sheets are really cool. They're totally clear. They're like a glycerin base, so that's how they are, so completely clear. And these are going to give you the transparent looks. You can also use, for this technique, you can also use an icing sheet, so just a regular edible icing sheet, but that will give you a opaque white background, right? So you won't be able to see through it, but you will get the effect of having a more bold background and having like the white going on behind it. So it won't be totally see-through, but it'll be a little bit more like these on its own without the white Isomalt, right? Because it has like that sheet in the middle. For Isomalt in general, you can also use Simi transfer sheets. For Simi transfer sheets, for this technique, it's a little bit harder because you have to pour the Isomalt on before you take the backing off. So right now, when this was cool, I would have to take the plastic off before I filled it. So you can still do it, it's just going to be a little bit different. That's why I prefer either the cello or the icing for this. You can also pour over smart sheets as well. The icing images smart sheets that are more like a cardstock texture, you can use those too.
And I think she now has a white cello.
She does, yeah. So the white cello is like a little bit translucent, but it's not totally translucent like the transfers or the cello sheets, the clear cello sheets, I should say. All right. Now you do have to keep in mind that the cello sheets are a little bit more, not that they're less intense, but the colors are just lighter because the light is passing through it, so they work best on more solid backgrounds. If you're going to have a lot going on behind the lollipop or the piece that you're making, you want to use something more intense, or you want to add some Isomalt to the back of them like we're about to do with a solid color, because you do see through them, so if it's in front of a busy background, it is going to take away from it a little bit. Luckily, lollipops you just hold, you know, up in the air, so it's not going to be a big deal. Oh, the rain just started. Can you guys hear that? Okay, so we are going to be coloring this Isomalt now. So I wanted to kind of go with what we had for the accessory kit. So I'm going to show you how I color my Isomalt. But of course, you can just use a pre-colored Isomalt if you have white or pearl, where it looks really pretty as well for the back color. Now, if you're doing the amber bug lollipops, you're just going to use amber again. So you can kind of disregard all this, but you know, still watch and kind of, while that's cooling, you know, get an idea for future uses. But I just melted a little bit more of the clear, so this is the clear on its own if you got the Snow Globe kit or you're using that version. I'm going to mix in some of my base white Simi Color Splash, so probably just about 3 or 4 drops will give me a totally opaque paint. See it sizzling up there. We will stir that in, and then we are going to fill up the rest of the mold, so just kind of get that all mixed in. Now generally, like I said, after I mix Isomalt, whether you're adding flavor at this point, flavor oils, or you're adding color, you always bring it back to a boil so that it, one, will help the colors emulsify and mix in, but it'll also help any air come out of it, because stirring is going to mix in air. So with an opaque color, that's not as big of a deal because it's going to be solid, so you don't see any air mixed in. So I could just use this on its own without reboiling, especially because it is a water-based color. The Color Splash are water-based. I just saw a question come in about if they're oil-based. They are water-based, but they're really pigmented. They're very intense, so you don't need very much of the color. They're way more intense than regular airbrush colors. So I don't need to reboil this because it is a liquid and it just mixes in so smoothly and so well with that base white. If you're using a powdered color mixed in, like a luster or petal dust, you always, even if it's an opaque color, want to reboil it, because sometimes the powder can seize up a little bit and you get clumps. So the heat just helps the clumps go away. You never want to mix in gel colors with Isomalt. You only want to use a airbrush color, which is a water or alcohol base, or you can use a powdered color, just no gel, because the gel will break down the Isomalt. Okay, so I did pre-pour this. This one's already cool. I poured this probably an hour ago or so with that clear glitter / clear mixture, so it's a little bit more of a light clear glitter. And then I put the little gnome design in the same way I did the amber. But you guys will want to wait if you are using your first one. Either, you know, just wait for it to cool down completely and use the color of your choice. I could go in with more of the same front color if I wanted to, just to have it all one color like the amber bug. But I want to show you guys the two tones so we have some of both.
Carla would like to know, is the color splash oil based as well?
No, it's water based, so it is going to be really, really intensely potent water base. And there's so much pigment in it. Even with the non-opaque colors, the regular colors, you don't need very much, just a couple drops. You could potentially use oil base and Isomalt, but I really don't like it because it doesn't mix in quite as easily. Alright. So I just double wrap my rubber band around the mold. Once that first half is cool, I spread the rubber bands out a little bit so that they're more evenly dispersed. And you see, because we did not fill past the hole when it was on its side, it's not closed over. You can still fill the rest of the mold up. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to fill the mold the rest of the way up, either with the same color you started with, like I did with the amber, or with another color for the backing, which is what we're going to do for the snow globe. So once that's together, we just fill this all the way up. Because our Simi silicone molds, especially the sphere molds, are such a smooth cut, you will not get any seam or anything like that once we torch all the bubbles away and everything, as long as you make sure the mold is nice and lined up to begin with, and you know, you don't feel like the mold is off or the two halves aren't meeting perfectly. Okay, so you see I just filled that the rest of the way up, so that clear glitter is still in there, but the white now is also in the back of the design, and now we wait. Everybody good so far? Everything making sense? You guys got any more questions? Don't forget to share, guys. For anybody who's just jumping on, please share. It's much appreciated. Okay. And like I said, pearl works really good for the back of that as well. It looks really pretty. Alright, so we're going to put those off to the side and let those cool. And I'm going to make one of my flat lollipops now. So we will do, let's do a gnome for that one, because the gnome is so cute. We have different size options of each of the designs. This is the assortment. You can see I've already used a bunch of them on here, but this is the assortment size. So it has one for a small sphere, our medium sphere, our shaker lollipop, and our large sphere that I used for that really big snow globe. I'm going to use, of course, the shaker size. Now, even though this is sized for a 2 inches, it's for a 2-inch sphere, okay? So it's a little bit different than 2 inches, and I'm going to explain why here in a second. So let's cut this out. So with I should say circles, not spheres, because this isn't 3D. They are going to be widest or longest at the widest point, which is the middle, right? So the two ends kind of across from each other. Wherever the widest point of a circle is, you know, the farthest point away from each other. So if I had made this exactly 2 inches in this shape, these are not circular designs. It's one thing if the design is a circle, but for a lot of snow globes and things, it's a scene, you know, it's somebody standing here like the gnomes, it's, you know, the houses, it's the trees, it's the birdhouse, things like that. So they're not actually circular designs. They're square, or they're rectangle, or they're odd shaped. So I have to go with what is going to look best in that circular design. So if this was bigger, the circle at the non-widest point, so as you get to the bottom and the top, is going to cut off some of the edges, right? So it would cut off a lot of the design if the design was actually 2 inches all the way around. Also, things that are sitting down generally are going to go lower, right? So there is like a ground line with these, because they're all sitting down on the ground. Let me do it this way, so it's up to you guys. So if they were all the way up here, it would look weird to not have anything below it. The same thing with the houses. So I do tend to put these designs that have that sort of standing line, or that ground line. Same thing with like the houses and things. I put those a little lower, and even if that cuts off a little bit of the design, I don't mind, because it almost creates like, you know, you don't know what's happening off to the side. It creates a more like sort of inclusive shape, like you're just getting a capture of a scene rather than something just suspended in the middle. Okay, so that's just me. I do put them a little bit lower than center, and there's more space on the top. And
Debbie's
I'm gonna.
Here, she made it.
Hey, Debbie.
From isingimages.com.
Woohoo!
That's where you can get the blank sheets.
Yep. So the blank cello sheets, you can get those right from isimimages.com if you want to print your own, and it works perfectly. Now, sometimes when you're kind of getting these in the middle, you have to change them around, like trim them a little bit to get it to fit in the paper punch right. This is a 2-inch paper punch because now we're using the shaker lollipop. So again, you see how I put the gnomes more to the bottom because they'd be standing on the ground, right? You can have them suspended in the middle if you want, but generally snow globes have kind of a ground. They have, like, you know, the snow that's sitting on the bottom, or, you know, whatever it is, the cobblestones of the street. So I do put the gnomes a little bit to the bottom personally. And now we're going to fill that in with some clear glitter. Let me melt that down. And we will set this in. So I like to set the design on top of the Isomalt rather than laying it in first. It bubbles less that way because silicone does breathe, so we want to be able to torch away any bubbles that it gets from the heat. So having the cello sheet or the icing sheet on the back is going to work really, really well for that. And we're also letting our other pieces cool in between as well here. Okay, you guys got any more questions? Everybody doing good? Becky loves the gnomes. I love gnomes too. They're so cute. Perfect, perfect. So I had a little bit of that clear glitter, clear mixture left over because this will go in front of the gnomes. So we are just going to let that melt. So again, just like 15 to 30-second intervals. Debbie wants to know if we sell pre-printed Mike Galpern gnomes. No, but that would be so cute.
I think we might have to come up with that. I don't think you can hear right now. We may have to do this.
Alright, so just melting that clear glitter down.
Magic gnomes.
I love it. Alright, and now you will notice with the molds that I'm using, I'm not, these aren't Lollipop specific molds. So as far as this one was made for a Lollipop, the shaker maker, but it doesn't have a hole for the Lollipop stick. And we do that on purpose, one, because it gives you a little bit more perfect of a circle, but also you have way more freedom that way to use it for anything. So instead of doing a lollipop, if you wanted to take these as discs, they fit perfectly on a cupcake. So you can use it for a cupcake topper if you wanted to. You can use it for a medallion on a cake. The same thing with the spheres. They're not specifically lollipop molds, but you can turn anything Isomalt into a lollipop with any mold that you have just by adding the stick onto the back. So it just gives you a lot more options, and you're not trapped into only using it for a lollipop or having like a weird, you know, spot where the Isomalt's going to run out the bottom if you don't use the stick. So it just gives you a whole lot more options. That way we like versatility with our molds so that you can use them for lots and lots of different things.
Can they hear that?
Yeah, are you guys okay hearing me? Is the rain getting too loud? Of course, now it's downpouring outside. Alright, so I just brought that to a boil, and we're letting that settle so the bubbles go away. Otherwise, you're just going to be pouring bubbles into the piece. Alright, I'm just going to toss my extra cello sheets, but if it's a pattern, you can save it and use it for small projects. Also, the plastic backing that you have, you can also save that for like chocolate work and things like that, which is nice. Okay, good. Sound is fine. Awesome. Alright. So the bubbles are almost gone. You don't want to rush it, especially with using edible sheets, because if it's too hot, it can break down the edible sheet. The cello sheets are pretty durable, so I haven't really had that happen with these, but I also am very careful to let the bubbles cool and let the Isomalt settle a little bit before we start. So just kind of be mindful of that.
Debbie says you can make cello lace.
Cello lace. Oh my gosh, it's so pretty. I've seen a couple demos on that. You guys definitely have to check that out on their page because it's just so cool. That would be beautiful in the Isomalt as well, having that lace in the background. So pretty. Alright, so we're going to pour the Isomalt in, and I'm just going to pour just enough to cover the bottom. This mold is pretty thick because you can also use it for a shaker. So, and you can turn these into shakers if you wanted to, but for this I just want to pour a nice thin layer. I'm going to pop those bubbles and then lay the gnome on. So again, just starting at one side and kind of letting all the air squeegee itself out. This is nice because you don't have to worry about it being turned a certain way. You just need to worry about it being centered.
So Monique says she's just joining and was wondering, what did you use to make the clear glitter Isomalt?
So the clear glitter is our pre-colored clear glitter that we have. So for this one specifically, I thinned it with a little bit of clear Isomalt, but you can also make your own, mix your own with just clear Isomalt by mixing in an edible glitter. So you have to make sure whatever edible glitter you're using, that it is going to not be a meltable material, because some things like cake sparkles and stuff like that are made out of gelatin, and gelatin melts at a much lower temperature than Isomalt, and it'll just melt into your Isomalt. So you do have to make sure that whatever you're using is going to hold up to heat, so you may have to do a small test with the Isomalt if you're not sure. Diamond Dust works really good from the Sugar Art. That's one of my favorite edible glitters, and you can definitely mix that into the Isomalt, and they have lots of different colors, which is nice.
Tina wanted to know if you had a scrap piece of the cello, could you use edible pen on it to do this?
Yeah, definitely. You
draw
can
your own?
Yeah, you can draw your own. You just don't want to go too thick with the paints because it can melt through, since this is an edible sheet and it's very thin. You don't want the moisture to eat through. So as long as you go in really light layers, you can definitely do that. And then that way you can kind of mix and match your different designs.
Oh, what a neat idea.
Yeah. You can also paint right onto the Isomalt itself if you wanted to, just make a disc and then paint onto it, but then you're kind of locked into whatever you paint. So when you use the cello, it's nice because if you don't like it, you just cut a new circle and you can kind of change it up without committing to putting it in the Isomalt yet. So that is a really nice part of it. Okay, we'll put that guy off to the side. I'm going to put my little fan on these just to help them cool down. Okay, the first one that we poured is pretty much cool. It's not cold to the touch, it's still warm, but it's not liquid anymore. So when I was ready, I could just put that together, rubber band it, and fill it the rest of the way up with amber to create the one color sphere instead. Okay. So put those in front of my fan, get them cooling off, and now I have one pre-poured, one of the amber ones, that is cool now, so I can show you taking it out. Alright. Okay, so this one is the cool one over here. I'm just going to take off the rubber band. You kind of want to push down and away at the seams on either side to help it wiggle its way out. And look how cool. So silicone does naturally breathe from heat. So we're going to clear away some of those bubbles so it's a little bit more clear and easy to see the design inside. That'll also take away any imperfections or any, if you did get a little seam from the mold not lining up. Let me hold this down a little bit more so you guys can see it in the shot. Alright, but it looks really, really cool because it really does look encased inside, but torching away will also let the light kind of go into it better as well, so it looks a little brighter. So don't hold this in your hand while you're torching. Remember, set it down onto your silicone mat. Light layers of heat, just until you start to see the bubbles go away. And I just do the top, I let that cool, and then I'll do the underneath, so that gravity is not fighting me, or I'm not touching it and moving it around. Put my torch onto this now. Cool, cool, cool. Okay, so now you can see how much shinier that is compared to the side that I have not torched yet. That's the shiny side. Even if you get a couple little bubbles suspended in the Isomalt, I actually think it looks really, really cool because it just gives it that super pretty amber sap look. So sometimes I'll even just leave some bubbles in there because it looks really neat. Let's actually put this back on there. I'm going to stand it up now. I was doing it on its side just so you could see the design better. But I'll just put it on its end. Torch those away. And it'll be nice and pretty and glassy. Alright. Perfect. Let that cool. I'll be patient. We're letting our other sphere cool as well as our flat lollipop too. Okay. And now when we add these onto the sticks, we're going to add a little bit more decoration to the bases of them just so that they look, you know, just a little bit extra. Now if you're just doing basic lollipops, of course you don't have to do this, but I really wanted to emulate the walking stick from Jurassic Park. It's kind of such an iconic look, so that's why we're going to create that sort of bone handle tapering off at the bottom. And we're also going to create the base for the little snow globe over here. So we'll wait for that one to cool.
Okay, Michelle had a interesting thought. She
Yeah.
said strange, but I think it's cool. If you wanted to do a chicken egg,
Yeah.
would there be a way to add the vessels in, like I'm thinking the veins?
Like around it?
Yeah, you know, like X-rayed eggs have vessels in them.
Yeah, you could definitely do that with the cello sheet, just by, doing the half of it and then having the design. If you can pre-print it, if you have an edible printer, you can use that to create the design. Or you can also draw onto it, like we were talking about before. You can use edible markers, you can use different paints, as long as you just do really light coats, and then use that onto your, the kind of the half and half inside the egg.
Yeah, and Daniela from Mexico, hi!
Hi!
Those lollipops would be a hit in the Jurassic Park theme party.
Yeah, wouldn't it? It would be so perfect. I love Jurassic Park, and so as soon as we kind of had this amber and Alex came up with this amber color, I knew exactly what I wanted to use it for.
Yeah, he is just having so much fun.
Yeah, he's creating all of our new colors, our new glitter colors, the black glitter, the amber, the jade. Super, super pretty. Alright, so there is the design inside the sphere. And the cool part is when you look at it on the side, you can't really see it, right? Because it's 2D, so it's just like a whole extra layer of dimension. That is just really, really neat. Okay. So I'm heating a little bit more up so that we can add our lollipop stick to the bottom. You don't need very much melted for that. But basically, when this is cool, we're just going to go on that attachment point. And it's okay if it looks a little bit rough underneath because we are going to be covering it. But now I will just dip the lollipop stick into the Isomalt, get a pretty good glob on there. And then I'm holding the sphere upside down. I just attach the stick on, and I'm going to hold this in front of the fan for a couple of minutes, making sure it stays straight. And then we will add on the handle. So I would do this exact same thing on the snow globes, just of course using the clear or the clear glitter instead of the amber.
Judy from Dicky Doodle.
Hey, Judy.
She says, I hope you'll have some of these cool colors at CI.
Yes, definitely. I can't wait to see you guys at CI. Hopefully we'll see some of you guys there as well.
Yep, we'll be in the Dinky Doodle booth.
Yep. Make sure you come say hi. Alright, so this just takes a couple minutes for that stick to cool. You can also set this into half of your sphere mold to keep it upright if you don't want to hold it, but you do want to make sure the stick stays straight, so I just hold it for a couple minutes in front of the fan. And of course you can use more decorative lollipop sticks than this. You can get some really pretty ones that match in your theme, but I really wanted to customize it to that sort of skeleton handle, so we are going to be making that next.
What was his name?
Dr. Hammond.
John Hammond,
I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys.
We can't wait to see you too, Judy.
Alright, yeah, it's going to be so much fun.
Thank you, Jackie. And Sandra says hi from Bavaria, Germany.
Hi, Sandra. Alright, there we go. Alright, so we got our lollipop here. This stick is attached to the bottom. Looks really, really pretty. Try and show you guys up close. I'm waiting for the lag to catch up on my iPad to make sure I have it in the right spot, so forgive me if I don't. There we go.
I think you're off to the side.
Yeah, I just moved
you
it.
did. Okay.
There it is.
Okay, Rebecca Haney. Hi, Rebecca.
Hey, Rebecca.
Could you use the rum bottle mold and use this technique to make a ship in a bottle?
Oh my gosh.
That's so cool. Or is it too big?
No.
Why not?
Definitely not too big, for sure.
That is so cool.
I love that idea. And you can use an edible design inside. That would look really cool. I'm going to be showing you guys, a lot of you guys already know what my next Playdate design and project is, but we're actually going to be encasing 3D pieces in the Isomalt for the next one, so make sure you stay tuned to the end if you haven't seen what our next Playdate is going to be for October. But for now, let's make our handle.
Lori loves Jurassic Park 2. Tina loves that all the ideas are flying. Love it.
Yeah, that's the best part, right? It's just getting all the different ideas and inspiration.
Jackie loves the new color.
Thank you.
Thank you, Monique. Devar says hi from New Zealand.
Hey.
Daniela says, oh, that's cool. I love it.
Thank you.
Tina says, good idea.
Alright, so I'm just going to use a little bit of modeling chocolate, but if you are, if modeling chocolate is not your thing, you can also use fondant or gum paste for this really, really easily. Okay, I just prefer modeling chocolate because it sculpts really nicely. Alright, so I'm going to take a piece of the modeling chocolate. It doesn't really matter how much you use. I'm just using like a large grape size, a little bit smaller than maybe a golf ball size. And I'm going to roll it out at a taper to one end, so we have kind of this cone shape. We're going to attach it onto the stick. So the Isomalt needs to be cool for this, because when you put the modeling chocolate on, if the Isomalt is still warm at the base where you attached it, it's going to start melting. So make sure that that is cool and not hot before you put the modeling chocolate on. But we're just going to thread this through. And it should stick on its own, especially once it gets up to the Isomalt. It'll stick, but if not, you can use a little bit of either liquid chocolate or piping gel to attach it on. And I'm just going to really roughly squish this up to the top of the Isomalt first, and then use my hands to smooth it out a little.
Tisha says hi. Becky
Hey,
says
Tisha.
her brain is on the skull mold. So many ideas.
Oh yeah, definitely. Wouldn't these be cool as skulls? Love it, love it.
Daniela says I could only achieve the amber color when she burnt her Isomalt.
That is one way to achieve it.
She really wants to try the lollies. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And just imagine all the different designs you can do encased inside these. I mean, not just amber bugs and snow globes, but you can put initials inside of them. You can do a picture, like a photograph of someone if you wanted to. You can do all sorts of different designs inside.
So like honey.
Yeah, the amber
syrup.
color for sure is good for like honey and syrup. I think somebody said like a sweet tea would be so pretty with this. Alright, it's a very good pumpkin spice color. Alright, so we just got a nice sort of taper off from wider at the top and then smaller at the bottom. I'm going to use my little metal palette knife and just start adding some indents to create kind of the joints between the bones. And I'm just eyeballing this. I'm not going any specific length or distance apart. I'm going to add maybe 4. And then I want to widen that a little bit so that they look more like joints and not lines. So I'm going to use my tool here, my veining tool, and you can use regular sculpting tools for this, but I'm using my silicone ones just because I always have those on hand.
Lynette says she appreciates the tutorials.
Yay, I appreciate you watching.
Becky says bees inside the amber.
Yes, oh my gosh, that would be so pretty.
Donald says, hello, Sidney from the gang in Atlanta.
Hi, guys.
Hope that everything's going great in the sale
Yes.
at Isaac this weekend.
Definitely.
Terry would like to know if you're using, did you make your own modeling chocolate?
No, I use Choco Pan from Satin Ice. They are my favorite modeling chocolate to use, but you could use whatever you like. Alright, so see how I just kind of used the tool to widen those gaps a little bit, and then I re-indented the sharper points with the spatula again. Okay. We're going to let that cool off for a little bit just from touching it. It's a little bit soft right now. We're going to let that cool, and then we will paint it a little bit. Let's check out our snow globe sphere in the meantime. I'll put that in front of the fan to help that cool off. You never want to put the Isomalt in the fridge or the freezer, remember. So just if you need it to cool down faster, either make it cooler in your room or use a small fan. Alright, so we're just going to unmold. So you can see that's the solid side of the snow globe. And then we have the clear side. Look how cool that is. Kind of looks like a snowball. Okay, so it has the bubbles on the front right now, so we're going to clear those away so we can see our little gnome friends a little better. If you want to help it hold into place, you can set it inside half the sphere mold. You just have to be really careful if you are going to be torching because you don't want to burn the mold. So that's why I prefer to just wait for it to cool all the way down and then go back around with my torch. Like that. Cool that off really quick. Alright, we also have our shaker guy here, so if you wanted to, with this, the same way, you could now pour another color over the back. So if you wanted to get sort of a two-toned effect or make it pop a little bit more in the background, you could pour pearl over that, you could pour white, you could pour any color that you want to, and then after that cools, you can take it out instead. So it's the same effect as these, just not domed, it'll be flat. Okay, this one I'm just going to leave clear since we have some of the other ones, so just so you have a variety. Okay, looks really cute. We'll torch away those bubbles as well.
Daniela said she's going to be teaching in Chicago next month, and she'll take and show her students some of these techniques.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I think she made those beautiful angels with the Isomalt a few years ago.
Yeah.
Those were gorgeous.
Super pretty. Okay, so there is our sparkly gnomes.
Ooh.
How cute that is. So you can
Jack
see on the
says,
clear.
so cute.
Thank you. You can see on the clear it doesn't, you know, it's not as striking, but it's really cool because it's transparent. I mean, nothing else looks like that. And you didn't even have to hand paint it or anything. It just makes it so easy. Okay, so put that off to the side. I torched the back of my snow globe now.
Now she's thinking she'll make the winter doll holding a snow globe.
Oh, I love
you have
that.
to.
Yes.
That would be gorgeous.
Alright, so here is those bubbles cleared away. Such cute little gnomes.
Aww.
I love it. That has to cool a lot because it's still quite hot, so we can't put modeling chocolate up to it yet, but I will show you before we end how I made the little bases. But for now, we'll do some dusting. Alright. So I'm just going to take a little bit of brown petal dust. I'm going to not have my fan blowing over it when I open it. Grab a paper towel instead here. So I'm just going to use, from the Sugar Art, a nice deep brown. You can use chocolate brown dust. And we're just going to go in the crevices with a small brush. And just kind of age these a little bit so they look kind of yellowed and browned. And just gives it a really neat depth. Doesn't have to be very much, because remember, bones are white or like a cream color, which is perfect for the chocolate. But we do just want to add a little bit more depth between the knuckles or the vertebrae or whatever kind of bones you're making. And then I do also brush a little bit up and down from those seams onto the bones themselves. So I'm just kind of going from the indent, pulling downwards, and then a little bit upwards. Again, just to pull that color in and add a little bit more.
Dale asked if you can get the products in the UK.
Yes, you can. We distribute through, or Dinky Doodle distributes our products in the UK, so you can order right from them. They order about once a month. They'll special order in from our website, so just let them know via email what you would like, and they will get it in for you.
Yeah, she has the website closed right now, but you can still place your order.
Yeah, you can still place your order through email. All right. So just adding a little bit of this to the back. And of course I'm going faster than I normally would just for demo's sake, but you guys get the idea of that. Adding on that really cool base. And that just makes it a little bit more unique, right? It makes it a little bit more different, adds some more personality to it, and just adds more than just a regular lollipop. So that's why I wanted to add it. Plus it'll be delicious if you have that. You know, let's say you flavored that like a really nice orange or, you know, strawberry or whatever you wanted, and then you have the chocolate on the base, kind of like a Tootsie Pop sort of idea. So super duper yummy.
Creepy cool, says Michelle.
See if our sphere is almost cool enough to add modeling chocolate. We don't want to rush that, but we can add on the, where's my clear glitter here? We'll attach the stick to the other lollipop. So this guy right here, remember you could just use that for a cupcake topper, you can use it for a medallion, you can put a string on it and have it hanging like an ornament, but we will use ours with...
So how would you put the hole in it?
I would actually glue the string to the piece. Well, you could put a hole in it with a hot wire, so just use like an armature wire, heat it with the torch, and poke a hole through. Or you can just take your string, dip it in Isomalt, and then stick it to the ornament itself.
Judy did say if you email her at sales@dinkydoodle.co.uk, let her know what you want, and she'll take care of it.
Perfect. Thank you, Judy.
And yes, Dale, we're coming to CI.
Yes, we'll be there. Make sure you stop by. We'll be with Dinky Doodle, so stop by and say hi.
Oh, and Becky said you could pop it through with the Zioto pen.
Oh yeah, the Zioto pen. That's a great idea. All right. Cool that off. So I just dipped a stick in Isomalt and then stuck it to the back of the lollipop here.
So Carla was wondering about price point for one of those, which is kind of difficult.
Yeah, everybody kind of has different price points. It really depends on your area. It depends on the work that you're doing and how much you're putting into them. But you know, my general calculation is usually start with your costs, so figure out how much it's going to cost you in materials, you know, the Isomalt and the sheets and whatever else you're going to add to it, and then just, you know, as you're making them and practicing them, see how many you can make and how much you want to charge for your time. So just kind of figure out how long it's going to take you and what you want to make per hour, but that really can vary widely on how intricate you're making these and how your area is, because of course big cities are going to be different than small towns and so on, but you know, these are really small. They don't take a ton of Isomalt for each piece, so it is something that you're going to be able to make a lot of them, you know, with the bag of Isomalt that you have, so it's not going to be too much.
Very quickly.
Yeah, and they are very quick. Yeah, it's not something that, you know, for the more basic ones like these, you can see I've made like 4 of them within an hour, and that's with stopping and talking and heating things. I'm not really assembly lining it like I would be, so you definitely can get a lot of these done very, very quickly. And they're also very unique. I mean, you know, there's not a lot of places that do completely personalized lollipops and things like this, so it does give you an edge. So make sure that you are charging appropriately for your designs and not selling yourself short. And super pretty gnome lollipop. Alright, I think this one should be fine now to attach to a stick, and then we will put the little base on with the modeling chocolate. Okay. This one I just had sitting in my mold to keep it upright, so I just left it in there when I attached the stick on. And we'll use the modeling chocolate for a little base. And then of course you can paint the modeling chocolate with luster dust and things as well if you wanted to. This one that I have over here, I did a little bit of gold on it, which I think really pops nicely. You can leave it white, you can add pearl or silver or blue, you know, a nice snowy blue would be pretty. Or winter blue, I should say. Red would be nice. Now on the big ones that I didn't add the stick to, I did a wood grain, just with a little bit of the brown dust mixed with alcohol. So instead of adding it on a lollipop, I just added the base by itself. So this one is clear in the front, the gnome design, and then clear glitter, just straight clear glitter. I didn't thin it down for the back, so you can see it's a little bit more intensely glittered. And then for the modeling chocolate, I just used like a fan brush with some of the brown luster dust and alcohol and brushed it over the surface. So it gave me kind of like a rustic look, which I really like.
Michelle wants to know, doesn't Icing Images do custom images onto cello sheets and transfers? They have their iDesigns.
Yeah, they have their iDesigns and their iPrint program, which makes it really, really easy to make your own custom ones. I'm not sure if they do the designing for you, but their programs really make it so easy. Anybody can do it. Okay, there's the big version, because of course I had to use our big 3-inch, or I think it's like 3 1/4 inch, or 3 3/4 inch, something like that, a really big, large sphere for a big snow globe you could use for a cake topper. The other snow globe I just held up is the medium sphere. So we have a small, which is the one I've been using, the medium, which is a little bigger, and then the large sphere.
Okay, Danielle has a question.
Yeah.
Can she add flavoring to the lollipops? Mint or a flavor? How would we do that, and is it possible?
Definitely you can. You can use an oil-based flavoring in the Isomalt, and that will be the most potent. Excuse me. And so just use a little bit of oil-based flavoring inside of the Isomalt, so just mix it in like you would color in the beginning. And then I always reboil the Isomalt after I mix it to get any air out, and you will have whatever flavor you like.
But watch color.
Yeah, some flavorings do have color, like strawberry and raspberry and things. They have like a reddish tint, so do just keep that in mind when you're planning your design. Okay, so I'm just taking a little bit of modeling chocolate and kind of rolled it to a ball, and now I'm flattening 2 sides to create a little sort of cork shape. I'm going to thread that through.
And Debbie did post that Icing Images can do the custom cellos.
Oh,
too.
perfect. Okay, awesome. All right.
Or transfer, or whatever you need.
Any kind of paper. Perfect. So I'm just flattening the sides a little bit. I made this one a little bit smaller than the others, but I think it's still really cute. And then I also like to just indent down the center a little bit with my finger or a tool to create sort of like an hourglass shape. See that? And then I'll squish it a little bit flatter. For the base, take my tool and flatten the top a little bit. And there's your cute little snow globe. So easy as that. It sticks right there onto the piece, but again, you can use a little bit of like melted chocolate on the bottom to help it hold up, or a little bit of piping gel in between the 2 pieces, but generally Isomalt and modeling paste of any kind stick together really easily. And then of course your final step to these are going to be It's still a little warm, so it's bending. Your final step is going to be glazing. Now, you can do this before the modeling chocolate or after. It doesn't really matter, but you want to make sure that you do glaze the ice malt with a clear edible glaze spray. So move all your tools, cover your table really well, and give it a spray, and this will lock out moisture and humidity. You have to do this right away, so don't wait. You know, if you have to wait or you don't want to glaze them, you have to keep them in a sealed container so that they don't get any moisture to them, but this will just create a barrier between the ice malt and the humidity and moisture in the air, and we'll keep it nice and shiny and smooth. The original pieces that I made over a month ago, and that's in Florida, so you can see they stayed nice and shiny. They haven't gotten sticky or anything like that. And there's our finished lollipops. Ta-da!
Oh, they love it. Beautiful. So cute. Adorable.
Yay! Thank you so much.
Becky said Michelle has to get a printer.
So yeah, we got lots of different ideas, right? We got our snow globes, we got our bug amber lollipops, we got our flat lollipops, our spheres, our 3D snow globes. I mean, the sky is really the limit to this.
Okay, so Judy says you can order anything on our site through them. Just email Judy, even if it's not on the Dinky Doodle site. Carla says, how long do you need to wait before you package in the wrappers?
You just need to wait for them to cool and then glaze them immediately, and then you can package them as soon as the glaze is dry, which is usually just a couple minutes. You want to package them as soon as possible just because you do want to make sure that the ice malt is not going to be out in the humidity. Even with the glaze, you just want to make sure it stays nice.
Becky loves them. Debbie loves the Simi team.
Yay, we love you too.
Hi, Carmilla. Beautiful. Lori says, so cute. Great idea.
Thank you.
Karen, great demo. Barbie, thanks. Amazing tutorial.
That's
happy
awesome.
Birthday to us.
Yeah, happy birthday to Mom and to Alex. Everybody wish them a happy birthday. Perfect. I'm so glad you guys liked it, and I want to see what you guys come up with, because I know even just from this we've gotten so many cool ideas. So definitely tag me in pictures when you use this. And we were talking earlier about you know, using, these are kind of 2D designs inside, which is really neat, and it gives it like a really cool look. In my next live, I'm going to be showing you guys how to encase 3D pieces and all of the tips and tricks that I have for encasing things inside of Isomalt, because we're going to be making some spooky potion bottles. So make sure that you tune into my next live. I have the pieces back here to show you, and it's going to be on October 2nd, which is oh wait, no, that's the class. October 15th, which is a Saturday, and October 15th will be just like this here on the Simi Cakes page. It's totally free to watch, and we're going to be making a whole bunch of potion bottles. So this is the one that we have eyes actually encased in the Isomalt. These are 3D eyes, as you can see. So I'm going to be giving you all of my tips and tricks for encasing inside. And this goes with our new potion bottle molds. So we just came out with a line of 4 new potion bottle molds. That's one of them. That's the potion jar. We have the round potion bottle, kind of the classic round potion bottle here. We have, I'm going to show you how to do the bubbling beaker. So I'll show you how to do the different tones of Isomalt, because you can see the tops of them are different colors, like the glass, and then the potions inside. I'll show you how I'm going to do the bubbles, how to assemble all that together, do the corks, the labels, all of that fun stuff. We have a cute little mini one here, which would also, I think, be a good size for a lollipop too, if you wanted to put it on a lollipop stick. And we also have our test tube, which we've had our test tube out before, but I'm going to show you how I do kind of the two-toned to have it spilling out. And yeah, so it's going to be super duper fun. These are all Isomalt, and then of course we use icing images labels, and we will be putting all of those together. So that's on the 15th of October. We do have accessory kits still available for this project we did today, as well as the potion bottles, and all of our potion bottle molds, and all of our holiday, that includes Halloween, Christmas, everything molds are on sale for Simi Torch team members this month. So we do have the kit, the accessory kit that's discounted, where you can choose a bottle and Isomalt together on a discount, but we also put all of the bottles and all of our other holiday items on the website on sale. So make sure you join the Simi Torch team Facebook group if you are not a part of it already. It is such a fun group. It's totally free. It's just all things Isomalt, no drama, and yeah, and sugar, just all things sugar in general. So yeah, we get a you'll get a discount code in the pin post when you join the Torch team, or if you're a part of the Torch team, check it out, because you will get 20% off of that whole category this month, so you can stock up for the upcoming holidays. All right, perfect. Fantastic. I'm so glad you guys like it. And then on the 2nd, which I was saying before, I do have my next Zoom class, so make sure you join me. We're going to be making our blown pumpkins, our blown Isomalt pumpkins, and we have a gold crackle to them as well. I'll show you. I have a couple over here. If you haven't seen them already, let me grab them out. I just have them in a bag. All right. Just climbing over things. So I'm going to show you how we create both by hand and with my air casting technique, which is actually blowing into molds. So this one is going to be blown into molds, this one's going to be blown and shaped by hand. So you'll get both techniques with that class. It is a live Zoom class, so we're all going to be working together, or you can just come and hang out and watch on the 2nd, the Sunday, the 2nd of October. Or if you can't make the live class, or you rather just do it at your own pace at home, all the sign-ups, all the attendees also get the pre-recorded version within a week after the live class, which is a separate recorded version of the tutorial, not just a replay. So everybody gets access to both of the times that you can make the piece. So I hope to see you guys at one of our upcoming lives. Also, don't forget that this Monday, Donald Joyner, who I just saw popped on, is going to be doing a live demo for us. Yay! At 6 p.m. EST, he's going to be doing his gnome dolph, his wizard Isomalt gnome, which is so awesome.
That's so cute.
And I cannot wait for that live. So make sure to tune in right here on the Simi Cakes page on Monday at 6 p.m. To check out his live stream. All right. Fantastic. I'm so glad you guys like them. Let me know if you have any other questions. If you're watching the replay of this, which will be available on my page after this and on my YouTube channel, you can send me messages with questions anytime, or if you guys are ever working on an Isomalt piece, you are welcome to write me anytime here on my account, on my page, on Instagram, anywhere. You can send me an email. All of that is in all of my bio and all of that stuff. So all right, and make sure you join the Simi Torch team. And if you make any of these pieces that we showed today, make sure you post a picture, because I love to see everybody's piece. It's super duper fun. Thank you, guys. All right, I don't see any more questions yet. We're good. All right, fantastic. Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. I really hope you enjoyed the live, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your weekend. I will see you guys in my next live stream. Bye guys.